let's go here. I wanted to do this with you. Um, Joe Biden has issued a fair amount of executive orders, and some of them are, some of them are the big theme, and we're going to go through some of them specifically. The big theme I've noticed is, okay, this isn't a bad thing, but this is nowhere near enough. Like, what have you noticed anything like anything that sticks out to you before we dive into it?
Um, no, I mean, I get the same impression, and this isn't to be defeatist or pessimist. This is realist. When somebody comes in, they're going to do a hell of a lot of executive orders, and then they feel justified to do absolutely not a damn thing for the rest of their time.
So you think that's what's going on here?
Oh, absolutely. And,
Yeah.
I digress a little, but last night, Liz Warren, who I just freaking love, was on Twitter and she was like, Biden could, with the stroke of a pen, executive order, to get rid of all student debt. I was like, listen, you just ran a year ago and didn't even say that. But now it's not up to you. And all of a sudden you're for it. Opportunist bullshit. Just like Chuck Schumer. Chuck freaking Schumer is saying, yeah, forgive college debt. Are you kidding me? It's because it's not in their hands. They know Biden's not going to do it, and it looks great for them.
Right. Well, I've actually gotten, and I know this doesn't make a difference really, but I do not follow any elected officials, like zero. I'll follow some people running for office, like some people trying to, break in, like progressives or whatever. But I don't follow any elected officials for that very reason, where it's like so many of them, um, and some may be, more well-intentioned than others, I'm sure, but they tweet these really nice things that they're not actually fighting for. And I've gotten to the point where it's like, I feel like you guys are just the ministry of appeasement, and I want nothing to do with it. Whenever a politician tweets, even if it's somebody you like, they should just be ratioed with people going, well, what are you doing to make this a reality? What do
Absolutely.
you can't just tweet nice. It's just not. And it'd be one thing if we were in better times where it's like, okay, they're tweeting nice things to get some engagement so that they can be like, hey, this is a direction we should go. We are in desperate times. So you tweeting nice things does not matter. And you tweeting nice things, and it makes people think that folks are really fighting for them and really putting their necks on the line for these life-saving type policies, when in reality, people aren't. That's just the harsh truth of it. Our government, for the most part, is nothing more than a corporate coup and just a shield for Wall Street and everything they want. And we have no incentive to sugarcoat any of this anymore. And I don't want to do it.
Absolutely. Like you see someone like Stephen King, who is just such a shit lib. Like, it's like, are you the same dude who wrote like Misery and Pet Cemetery? Like, he goes on Twitter and he says things like, it's the first night I had a great sleep, and it's so nice to have a president who doesn't tweet all day, and when he does, it gives hope. And it's like, yeah, but if you actually cared, you would notice that saving the soul of the nation in every other tweet is not substance, and it doesn't do shit for we the people.
He tweeted something once that I responded to. It was just such a goofy tweet. And I'm one of the few people I know who has not read a lot of his stuff. I mean, I've read a few things and that's it. And I've enjoyed everything I've read, and I, enjoyed. I thought the Thinner movie was entertaining. Like, he's good at what he does, whatever. But he tweeted something where he said like they called Trump like a name in Maine or something like that. And I retweeted it and I was like, wow, you really showed everybody. Like, it was just such a weird, I don't remember the details, but it was just such a goofy tweet that
Oh,
he
it
put
was
out.
probably Nancy Pelosi because she named him like Mr. Poopy Pants or something.
Oh, geez.
We put it in our book. It was something like, whoa, what an own. It was like, Trump is like a little boy with doo-doo on his shoes, or
It
something
actually, yeah,
really
it did
juvenile.
remind me of something in your guys' book where it was just like, we told Trump he's a doo-doo head. The world is saved.
Exactly.
Like, wow.
Oh.
I mean, it's so funny when you would see, especially people in Hollywood, and I'm in LA. I live in the thick of this stuff for the most part. Or I guess everything's shut down right now. But you see these people where they're just like, Trump sucks. Like they were the first person who figured that out. like they were like, no, what? Tell me more. Wow, really? He's not a good dude.
I don't know anything about him.
You don't say. Anyway, fun time. So here's Joe's executive orders. We're going to walk through as many of these as we can get to, I guess, the 42 executive orders. And we'll go through it and we'll say like, oh, is this actually anything or just kind of bullshit? So I have a feeling these first couple, we're looking at the healthcare section now. I have a feeling we're mostly going to be saying bullshit for the most part on a lot of this, but let's go through it. Executive order on strengthening Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. This reopens enrollment on healthcare.gov from February 15th through May 15th. So you have a longer time to shop for healthcare plans you can't afford, and directs federal agencies to re-examine policies that may reduce or undermine access to the Affordable Care Act. I don't know what the fuck that means. If you do, Joy, please explain it to me.
Well, I worked in healthcare for over a decade, so this could be a good thing. Of course, It's not Medicare for all, but expanding Medicaid, the states who have done that, it has saved lives. There is no question. It's also retroactive. This is a big thing. Expanding on Affordable Care Act, which is garbage. I mean, at least it's something, I guess. It's breadcrumbs. But of course, we need Medicare for all, hands down.
Well, the thing that frustrates me, and yeah, no, the Medicaid part is good. I'm really with you there. The thing that frustrates me about the whole we need to strengthen the Affordable Care Act. That's just bullshit. Because you know what strengthening the Affordable Care Act means? That means transitioning into a single payer system, which is Medicare for all. The Affordable Care Act, is it slightly better than absolutely nothing? Yes, I think it's fair to say it is better than absolutely nothing at all. But it's also a total giveaway to the insurance industry. And it also still leaves a ton of people out because it doesn't stop predatory plans. And it's not really extensive aid for a lot of people. So it's still a grossly tragic piece of legislation. Better than absolutely nothing, go die on the streets. It is better than that. But I almost think calling it a baby step was almost too generous. It was like, whatever, what's a baby step of a baby step? Is there a word for that? That's what it fucking was.
Toddler step?
Well, a toddler's after a baby, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, a toddler step is bigger than a baby step.
So like a bodler step? Like a baby toddler?
Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Are you making up words?
Yeah. One thing I will say,
Joy, if you keep making up words, someone's going to make you the Secretary of Education.
Yes.
Wait, what were you saying?
I already have 3 names, so that works. But I think, the one thing I will credit ACA with as someone who has medical needs and worked in healthcare for over a decade, the clause that gives you insurance regardless of having, medical needs, that did change lives. I will not take away from that. I was paying $12,000 a year for insurance because I had a pre-existing condition. And that part was absolutely huge. Now, I don't know if Biden's still saying this, but while he was running, he did make a comment that he was going to remove the thing that Trump put to waive the tax fees if you don't get the ACA. Like if you don't have insurance, how you end up paying hundreds or $1,000. Biden said that he would put that back in place. I don't know if he's changed his stance, but that was an absolutely just egregious step in the first place. So I don't know if he's changed his mind, but that would also be something that would, definitely contribute to, the horrible situation so many people are in.
Yeah, I mean, because I think the problem with it is they're trying to treat it like it's a universal system, but it isn't. Like the ACA is not a universal system, and the ACA will not lead to a universal system. It just won't.
Right.
Because when you're like basically putting people in a corner where it's like, okay, either get this plan that you can't afford or pay a fine, people are just going to weigh that out. And the fine doesn't, they still don't make the subsidies affordable for a lot of people. And a single payer system eliminates all that. And so they're just trying to pretend. And the fact that they still invite the insurance companies. I mean, yeah, the fact I have a friend of mine who, because of the whole pre-existing condition thing, because that all went away, it's actually pretty bad. He got diagnosed with cancer, and a pretty aggressive cancer. He is doing better now, and hopefully that continues. And so it looks like there's been a good outcome. But when he was a comedian, he didn't really have health insurance. So when he had to get health insurance because of that part of the ACA, and this was a couple years ago. I think this was before Trump was elected even, but because of the ACA, they couldn't ask him any questions. They couldn't ask him if he had anything wrong with him. So he went in, and he's very young. It was kind of crazy that he got this cancer at his age, but he was basically just like, so what's the total gold plate? This covers everything plan. And they're like, well, you don't need this. You're like young and why do you? And he's like, well, let's just say hypothetically, I want the gold standard. And they couldn't ask him any questions. They couldn't question, like, do you have something wrong with you they had to just give him. So because of that, he still paid a pretty high premium because he got like the best plan available. But compared to what it would have been had he had to pay for his treatments out of pocket, he might not be here right now, really. It's kind of insane to think about. And so, yeah, well, so there's that one. Here's another one. Memorandum on protecting women's health at home and abroad rescinds the Mexico City policy, which is a ban on U.S. government funding for foreign nonprofits that perform or promote abortions. Okay, cool. That sounds like a good thing to me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of just, okay, cool. All right, let's go to the environment. So this is where I think we're going to see some like, all right, this is a good thing, but not enough. But here we go. Executive order on tackling the climate crisis at home and abroad. Those are just words. That's not an actual plan. Those are just words. But let's read on. Seeks to cement the climate crisis at the center of U.S. foreign policy and national security. If you actually do that, that'll be awesome. Most notably, it directs the Secretary of the Interior to pause on entering into new oil and natural gas leases on public lands or offshore waters. That doesn't include everywhere because, as you may already be aware, Joe Biden has issued 31 drilling permits since taking office. The order also instructs Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines to prepare a national intelligence estimate on the security implication. Oh, what the hell does that even mean? A national intelligence estimate on the security implications of the climate crisis and directs all agencies to develop strategies for integrating climate considerations into their international work. You know what that's code for? You're going to make sure that this doesn't infringe on our bomb making. This is going to give them shield for, hey, it'd be great if we still had a planet, the planet isn't going anywhere. We might, but it'd be great if we were still able to have humanity in 20 years. But as long as it doesn't infringe our bomb making abilities, because it's making a couple people really fucking rich.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Warren had a thing like that when she was running. It was essentially like, I believe she actually called it more green intervention.
Yeah.
It was literally like, let's put rainbows on the bombs and use less materials, and war, anything having to do with foreign policy creates the most issues for the environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no kidding. Well, because what are all these wars over? Well, oil. So, I mean, having a clause in there, so I'm going to go on. I'm going to say this doesn't sound like a good thing. Obviously, like a director of national intelligence to make sure they're looking out for the security implications. That's code for make sure the war industry is fine in the little things that we're going to do for climate change. We're going to do the bare minimum at best. So make sure the war machine's fine. That's what this is code for. So if this was
I actually got into a dispute with a couple leftists online where, like, it's okay to praise Biden when he does something good. And I'm like, okay, here's the thing. Even if he does something great with the environment, until he fires like his dude who, worked for Raytheon and stuff, he can eat a bag of dicks. Like, that doesn't cancel out the other shit he's doing.
Well, yeah, not only that, but it's like you can also just accurately address what he's doing. I mean, I feel like that's what we're doing right now. When we're going through these executive orders saying, okay, this is a good thing. This is helpful. This is not enough. This is not a good thing. Like, that's perfectly reasonable. We don't have to praise anybody. So, establishes the National Climate Task Force, assembling leaders from across 21 federal agencies and departments. Okay, if this task force actually does stuff, that'll be good. I get a little tired and weary of the subcommittee, focus group, task force, talkie. Let's see if it's implemented. What did we really see as far as actual results from the Biden-Bernie task force? Other than just the Biden people condescending to the Bernie people most of the time. Did we see much more than that? The only thing I can think of off the top of my head is they did get Biden to commit to a pro-net neutrality FCC head, which we'll see. We haven't had that fifth appointee from him yet. He's made Jessica Rosenworcel the acting chair, which she is definitely pro-net neutrality, and I hope he makes her the permanent chair. She'd be a good choice. But until you have that fifth pick, so that there's a 3-2, there's a 3-2 dynamic in the FCC, because right now it's just split down the middle 2-2. It doesn't matter. So that's the only thing I can think of that might happen. Do you know of anything?
No, I think the task force was a way to placate to us before he got elected. Look, I'm working with Bernie and Stephanie Kelton. Oh my God. And I'm going to allude that I'm going to let people assume maybe they'll have places in my cabinet. And then it happens and nobody gets a spot, So it was, let me use you, pay you nothing, give you no actual title or spot, and get those votes, and then say, see ya.
Yeah. So there's that. That's just kind of fluff to me. Commits to environmental justice and new clean infrastructure projects. Okay, like what? Like what? What does that mean? I need examples. If I used to teach community college. If this was a paper handed into me by a student, I would give it a C at best, because I'd be like, you need examples here. That sounds nice. What are you referring to?
What did you teach?
Oh, I taught speech comm and public speaking.
Nice. I did not know that.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, I guess I feel bad, but I'll use this moment to make a shameless plug. Tina Desiree Berg and I have a new podcast coming out soon because both of us have former lives as academics that neither of us talk about all that often. And we found out one night just at a party, like we were both just hanging out, and we found out that we both were in similar fields of study. We were both in the humanities and like communication and philosophy. And we both had similar academic backgrounds, and neither one of us really talks about that part of our lives very often. But it kind of like indirectly informed a lot of what we're up to now. So we're making a podcast about that. It's going to be a philosophy and political theory podcast, also talking about our past lives as academics. And that'll be coming out shortly. We're going to be calling it Academy Refugees. So that's coming out.
I was a philosophy minor. I approve.
Nice. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. But so anyway, yeah. Kicks off development of emissions reduction target. Cool, but what is that target? If 2050 is the target, not enough. If 2030 is the target, well, that's a lot better. 2025 would be even better, but 2030, that's a good target. 2050, that's just kicking a can down the road, and we all know it. Establishes the special presidential envoy for climate on the National Security Council. That just kind of sounds like more bullshit. Executive order on establishing President's Council on Advisors on Science and Technology. Okay. It's like, what are you like? All right, so he's going to listen to scientists. That's something Trump didn't do. So, okay, I'll give you that. But all right.
Well, he did say we support science over lies and we support truth over facts. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's. But here's the thing: if you're going to listen to the scientists, that's great. That is a step up from the last guy, sure. But if you're going to just ignore the inconvenient parts, once again, not good enough. Because really listening to the science, if you're just going to listen to them and say, okay, but this is what we're going to do anyway, well, then what are you really doing? That's not good enough. That's enough to appease the Stephen Kings of the world. That's enough to appease the Alyssa Milanos of the world. But that's not enough for the American people, and that's not enough. By the way, the planet is not going to care that you're listening to the scientists. You can go up to the ice caps and be like, stop melting. Didn't you hear? I listened to the scientists. I listened to them. Don't melt anymore. We're going to do, didn't you hear by 2050, some of us might not have gasoline cars anymore. Didn't you hear about that? Stop melting. We care. We hear you, ice caps. We hear you. That's not going to solve climate change.
I recently had Peter Kalmus on my show. Climate scientist, absolutely brilliant. I recommend him as a guest. What's that?
He's been on the show.
Oh, he has. Yeah, he's so brilliant. And I recommend everyone follow him because he just does an incredible breakdown of how climate affects literally every aspect of our life. And we kind of got into Biden and everything as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you do this, but I totally text a lot of my very scientifically, like, friends of mine who are like scientists, and I'm just I just like occasionally will just panic text them. Like, are we gonna be okay? And what's gonna They probably just have a thing with like, oh shit, it's Ron again. What do you want, dude? Like, what are you gonna, and then most of these are like friends of mine who will just like bust my chops, which makes it better. Like my one buddy, he's a marine biologist, and I just texted him. I'm like, dude, I just read Deep Adaptation. I don't know what to think. What do you think is what's gonna happen? And he just texted me back and he goes, Ron, are you pregnant? But I do issue those texts where I'm just like, how are we? What's gonna? what's gonna, and I actually, let me run this by you. And I'm not a scientist and I don't pretend to be, but I try to read as much literature as I can. And I think that, the clock is ticking and we need to act, and we need to act boldly. There's no disputing that. But I think that if we do, I don't consider where we're at to be hopeless. I'm certain, and when you read like what we could be facing, it's not a hopeless situation yet. It could become that, but I don't think it is yet. And I also think that you're going to see better leadership in other parts of the world. I don't have confidence in the United States, but I do have some confidence in other places in the world. Europe, the EU, a lot of those, even China. I mean, China is a huge polluter, but they're also making all these green investments around the world. And they also, just kind of have the foresight to actually prepare for the stewardship of the planet, at least compared to the United States. So I don't know. I mean, maybe this is like grass is always greener, no pun intended, but that's kind of like my snapshot summer. What do you think?
I tend to agree. I think we have to stop looking at electoral politics as a way to hope for things. It gives me, hope when I look at, the protests and the independent research and things like that. And like you said, other countries, there's no reason we can't, get a better rail system and use wind and solar, things like that. So I do see some hope. Whether it happens as soon as it should, that's where I get kind of,
right.
I want to be realistic.
Yeah, no, that's my concern too. Like, the clock's ticking. I mean, and I think it's fair to say. I mean, I think there's pretty much consensus. It's like, okay, if we don't do something very bold in the next 10 years, I mean, we could be looking at a very significant dystopian future where, your kids and grandkids, I mean, I think no matter what, this place is not going to be recognizable in 50 years. I think no matter what, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's guaranteed to be worse. It actually does not have to be. At least I think it doesn't have to be. And I think that's something where there's a lot of scientific consensus where it's like, yeah, the Earth's not going to look the same in 50 years. You're not even going to recognize it. But it doesn't have to be something worse. That could be a better thing. There's going to be some flooding. Yeah. Some stuff's going to go underwater. Yeah. But we're an adaptable species, and we can still do better. And I think there's also the technology component of this that I think, whether people like it or not, is going to have to play a big role in climate change.
Absolutely.
But I don't know. Hopefully that's the case. Or maybe it's just maybe if people are driving gasoline cars by 2050, everything will be fine. Maybe that's all there is.
I don't expect to be around then.
All right, so there's that. And then, of course, we're rejoining the Paris Climate Accord. Yeah, again, it's like, yeah, that's good. I'm glad we're in it as opposed to not being in it. But, I mean, right, that's sort of just a symbolic gesture right now. So, okay. Like, you know what I mean?
The GOP people tweeting that I don't care about Paris, I care about America.
Yes. Well, the funniest, and here's a Pennsylvania thing for both of us, was Ted Cruz when he tweeted about Pittsburgh. And he was like, the president clearly cares more about Paris than Pittsburgh. Where, by the way, Pittsburgh was one of the cities, just for the record, Pittsburgh was one of the cities that voluntarily stayed in the Paris Climate Accord. They were one of the cities where, as a city, and the mayor made a statement where he's like, yeah, we're we still acknowledge this. Like a bunch of cities did that as like an FU to Trump. Pittsburgh was one of those cities. And Ted Cruz still tweeted that. And then Greta Thunberg said, congratulations to the United States on rejoining the Pittsburgh Climate Accord, which I thought was very funny. That was a really funny tweet.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so that was, I mean, yeah, that's funny. And yeah, it's one of those things. Like you look at this stuff and you're like, okay, this is good. I'm glad. But if your plan isn't to really do anything until 2050, that's not enough. And, you know, having 2050 as the benchmark, that's not enough, because what you're really doing is just kicking the can down the road. And people know that. Scientists know that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Let's look at a few more of these. So the economy, let's take a look at this, and then let's take a look at COVID. Economy, executive order on ensuring the future is made in all of America by all of America's workers, strengthens Buy American rules by closing loopholes and reducing waivers granted on federal purchases of domestic goods. Executive order on protecting the federal workforce restores collective bargaining power and worker protections for federal workers and lays the foundation for a $15 an hour minimum wage. First of all, like, they're rolling it out way too slow. We needed $15 a couple years ago. It should be, I mean, it should be like 23 or 24 right now. So the fact that we're not even just starting it at least 20 is pretty bad. And also, you know, you really need
foundation for it.
Right. Like, because I think it's like about 2025, 2026. So the only way we're going to be okay is if we can invent time travel where people can go work in 2026 and then take a time machine back to like 1996 and live. Then they'll be fine.
Yep.
But so there's that. And then there's also, you know, Richard Wolff always brings up this statistic. There are 1 million less people working in social services now than before the pandemic. The opposite should be happening. When you're in a pandemic, there should be more people working in federal and social services because it's needed, because people need help. There's 1 million less in the United States. So you got a lot of building to do. And I don't know if this meets the moment. So calls for assistance to those who are struggling to buy food, missed out on stimulus checks, or are unemployed. Extends the existing pause on student loan payments and interest. Okay, so that's good. And it extends the eviction moratorium till at least March 31st, which again is good, but you're kicking a can down the road. And by the way, there's a ton of loopholes in these things, so people are still being evicted. That's still happening. People are still facing evictions.
Absolutely.
Now, here's what he wants to do for COVID. Proclamation on the suspension of entry as immigrants and non-immigrants of certain persons. Okay, so it reinstates the COVID travel restrictions for individuals traveling to the United States from Brazil, the Schengen area, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and South Africa. Let's see. Directs the Federal Emergency Management Agency to expand reimbursement to states to fully cover the cost for National Guard personnel and emergency supplies. Okay, so they're putting some money into some supplies here. They want to expand testing. All right. They want to hopefully expand the vaccines themselves. So it looks like he's doing some stuff for COVID. That's good.
But he wants to reopen schools.
But he wants to reopen schools. Yeah, there's a lot of like, and then a couple of these are just kind of like whatever. Stops the United States withdrawal from the World Health Organization, with Dr. Fauci becoming the head of the delegation to the World Health Organization. Yeah, again, I'm glad we're in it. We should be in the World Health Organization. That's a good thing. So I'm glad that's happening. But it's just kind of a gesture. A lot of it is just putting things back to the way they were. To quote a campaign promise, nothing will fundamentally change.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? go through it together and make it our own. Get your